Mites.
I hate my life.
This is our kingdom, a kingdom of righteousness. Praise the Lord. Praise ye the Lord.
Why did God make us Edomites? God hates us.
The only deliverance the other nations are going to get is deliverance right into slavery. They're going to be our slaves, thus saith the Lord.
Why did God make us Edomites? God hates us. Why? God, why?
Jeremiah 30:16 tells you every last one of the other nations, which are non-Israelites, are going into captivity. They're going into slavery underneath the Israelites when the Israelites go back into rulership. When is the Israelites going to go back into rulership? When the Lord comes. That's what he's coming to do. He's coming to set up the Israelites in rulership, beginning with King David. And when I say rulership, meaning the planet Earth, we're going to be ruling the planet Earth in righteousness. After he puts down the wicked. Who's the wicked? The Edomites, which are in power right now. Who are the Edomites? The so-called white man.
Why did God make us Edomites? God hates us. Why? God, why?
Praise the Lord, for he is greatly to be feared. He removed the wicked and put us righteous in power. To victory and the dawn of a new era.
And when I say rulership, meaning the planet Earth, we're going to be ruling the planet Earth in righteousness. After he puts down the wicked. Who's the wicked? The Edomites, which are in power right now. Who are the Edomites? The so-called white man.
This is our kingdom, a kingdom of righteousness. Praise the Lord Yahweh. Praise ye the Lord.
Beginning with those top banking families, which happen to be so-called white people. We're talking about the Rothschilds, Rockefellers. We're talking about the DuPonts. We're talking about the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, and families like that. Okay, so when Yahushua comes back, he's going to take away their rulership, which they're enjoying right now. That's the long and short of it, of this ministry, man.
Pace, James. I need 200 pounds by sunset.
Yes, sir. I'm on it, Master. Why did God make us Edomites?
I hate my life.
Why did God make us Edomites?
I hate my life.
Praise the Lord, for he is greatly to be feared. He removed the wicked and put us righteous in power.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today, some morning news and prophecy, how everything is tied to prophecy, the way, that people are speaking, it links right up, okay, with biblical prophecy. Now, I want to play a few minutes, of this video, dealing with this guy, Colonel McGregor, which, he goes in, dealing with, the war analysis and the build up to war and, the, strategy of war, dealing with these other nations. And but he said some things in the first minute and a half, all right, that were spiritual, man. because the Lord has it to where prophecy, okay, is dominating the earth. Prophecy is speaking, you know. So we're to the point now to where the only way to explain what's happening with these major events that we see, from the war to the civil unrest, okay, till you know, people losing, their government assistance and you know, rolling on Jake, okay, law enforcement rolling on Jake. You see, all these things can only be explained and thoroughly and truly explained through prophecy, man. Okay, and that's where we at, showing you that hey, the reality of prophecy, is settling in the earth more and more. Okay, so let's go here. Let's play this. We're gonna get some precepts going into it. All right, so put this on mute.
For people overseas, it's very hard to sort truth from fiction, imagination from reality when President Trump speaks. He may want to cultivate a positive image for the United States, but what he does, unfortunately, is demonstrate that he's reckless, he's impulsive, and he's quite capable of taking action that is devastating on the world stage. That's all he did in that speech. We've got these marvelous flying wings. They can show up in the middle of the night anywhere in the world and destroy everything beneath them. Well, at the moment, he's gotten away with that. Is that the future? I don't think.
When he speaks about those marvelous flying wings, they can show up anywhere and destroy anything beneath them. He's talking about the military air force. All right. And he's talking about, via those aircraft carriers, that the American Air Force, is mobile throughout the earth. They can show up, anywhere and let off, those ships. Okay, let those jets off, dispatch those jets from those ships and do an airstrike, anywhere in the world. Okay. So this is what Americans, all right, this is how America projects its power throughout the earth. Is this mobile? Just like this is how America projects its power throughout the earth through being able to mobilize their air force, anywhere in the world. Okay, and this is what they've relied on for the longest. This is why they, always making threats, all right, to these other nations, because these nations for a long time know that America had the capability. Okay, but now what's happening? These nations have equipped themselves to combat, all right, the air superiority, of America. Okay, but America has been doing this, for decades. So let's play some more. But that's what he's talking about, those marvelous wings.
So, and do we want that as a future? Because somebody said many years ago, cast your bread upon the waters, and in a few days it will return manyfold unto you.
And that's what I want to address, because he's talking about a precept. Okay, so we're going to get this precept and the meaning of it, and also linking to what Esau Edom is doing and how all this war is going to come back on him. Okay, everything that he's doing is going to come back on him. All right, thus said the Lord. So let's go to that precept that he was speaking of when you go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1. We're going to get the customs behind it. All right, because ultimately it's talking about the truth. Okay, but then you can link it to Esau, all right, and the wickedness that he's sowing in the earth is going to come back to him, after many days. Okay, this Ecclesiastes 11:1, it says, "Cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days." Now we know, all right, that this speaking of the truth, and the spirit is speaking of the truth. Okay, because as we cast out this bread, this truth, okay, well, we begin to what? Reap, okay, a harvest, of the believers coming in, okay, being built up, because the truth cultivates, believers as we plant the seed, okay, or this truth in the earth. Well, it's producing believers, it's producing the elect, okay, and ultimately it's going to produce salvation. All right, casting thy bread or the truth upon many waters likened unto the people, okay, and for thou shalt find it after many days, and that's the return on this investment that we're making And the truth after many days is ultimately going to be the kingdom. Okay. Now let's get the customs, behind this. All right. Cast our bread upon many waters. All right. And then we're going to link it to the devil and the wickedness that he's doing. So once you go to, let's go here to the book. Well, let's go here to chat, Salaki. So you go to the chat. So I asked chat, what was the custom, all right, behind, all right, Ecclesiastes 11:1, what the customs and traditions, okay? And it says, Ecclesiastes 7:1, cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days. This verse has both spiritual and cultural significance rooted in Near Eastern customs and Israelite agricultural life. Let's explore the traditions, okay, and meanings tied to it. It says ancient trade and generosity customs. It says in the ancient world, especially around the Red Sea, the Nile, and the Mediterranean, sending goods upon the waters, often referred to maritime trade or acts of generosity, all right, that carried an element of risk. Cultural tradition says merchants would ship grain, oil, or bread, symbolic of substance across the seas, casting your bread on the water. Okay, so this is also going into cultural tradition dealing with trade. It said trusting that they would gain profit after many days when ships return. So they will send, their substance, their bread, their grain, their oil on the waters. Okay. And after many days when their ships return, they expected those ships to return with a profit. And this is what we're doing with this truth, man. We're sending out, okay, this truth, okay, via what? The live stream. You see? And the Lord's going to reward us, Lord willing, hey, with the kingdom. You see? That's going to be the payoff at the end. That's going to be the profit. Okay? And it says, the verse became a metaphor for investing in others when we teach this truth. Okay? When we was taught this truth, we was being invested in. When we began to teach this truth, we began to invest in others. Okay? Or giving generosity even when the results weren't immediate. You see that? Even when the results weren't immediate. So, you know, going back to, let's see, part 2 said agricultural tradition. It says in Israelite agrarian life, the imagery of casting bread upon the waters may have also recalled sowing seed on flooded fields like along the Nile, okay, in Egypt. It says farmers in the region would, with seasonal floods, would scatter seed, all right, or bread, all right, which is grain, upon wet soil, trusting the water would recede and crops would grow. All right, it says this practice symbolized trust in the Most High provision, giving up giving up what you have, which is your seed, and faith that it would yield, okay, abundance later. This verse connects to the harvest cycle coming in Hebrew life, to sow in faith, to wait patiently, and reap in time. Okay. So on the right hand side, what we're doing, we're casting, this bread upon waters. Okay. Which you go is an analogy, okay, for certain customs to go back to the east. Okay. Well, they sent their bread on ships in hopes to get a profit or gain, or they casted seed on wet soil, hoping that the water will recede and then the harvest will grow. But it went into, just like they said, the harvest faith cycle, which was you had to sow in faith, is what we're doing, had to wait patiently. That's what we're doing, and we're going to reap in time. Okay? You see? But we're sowing in righteousness. See, Esau is sowing in wickedness, and he's going to reap in time. Okay, so let's get some precepts to go into that. Okay, let's go here. Let's go here because you go to Galatians 6 and go straight into it. Okay, sowing and reaping. Galatians 6 and 7 said, "Be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." So if you're sowing in righteousness, you're going to reap in righteousness. But if you're sowing in wickedness, you're going to weep in wickedness, man. And Esau and his kingdom has sown nothing but wickedness, man. Now it's time for him to reap. It's time for the righteous, the elect of Israel, to reap in righteousness, and it's time for Esau, Edom, the wicked, to reap in his wickedness, man. Okay, so you sow, whatever you put into, you're gonna reap that. Okay, and this man has sown nothing but what? Let's get this in Job. Matter of fact, uh, before we get that in Job, to show you when he's speaking of the devil, let's get Proverbs 4. You know, because it was cast out bread upon many waters. Well, what is the bread of Esau? Okay, this is Proverbs 4 and 16. It says, "For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall." Okay, it says, "For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall." Man, so this nigga is not satisfied unless he's causing someone to fall. Okay, this is the mind of this devil, man. He's always up to some type of wickedness that he can implement in the earth, man. You know, whether it's through foods, is you know, through medicine, through through entertainment. He's always trying to do some new ritual, some new enchantment, pour some new poison, the juice, the baby formula, like whatever this nigga can think of. What you cook with. How can we put poison chemicals in what they cook with? And there's just always some type of mischief, and that's all he's sown in the earth, man. Okay, and this the point, verse 17. "For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence." Okay, so since this man is all about wickedness, sowing wickedness and violence, that's what he's finna reap. That's why America is gonna get hit with so many missiles, because they, all right, have because they've attacked and destroyed with so many missiles, man. You see, all the missiles that's coming to destroy America, that's all the American military has done throughout the earth, man, coming back on them. Okay? Everything that America government and military has done, all right, is going to come back on them at one time. They're going to reap what they went out in the earth and sown. Okay? Which is the bread of wickedness and the wine of violence, man. Okay? It says, remember, this is Job 4:8. It says, "Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same." You see that? Ain't no getting around it. So what we're about to witness in America, even before the nukes come, the poverty, America has impoverished a lot of countries in the earth, man. There's a lot of countries that are third world countries, but they're rich in resources because they've been extorted, okay, and manipulated by what? American entities, man. All right, these different Edomite billionaires, all right, they go in and set up system to extrapolate the resources where they benefit, and these countries starve. Okay, so that's why America finna experience extreme poverty, man. Okay, even beyond the nigger woman losing her assistance, it's gonna be way deeper than that. It's gonna be the everyday American is gonna experience extreme poverty. All right, because that's what America has pushed in the earth, man. Poverty. Okay, so that poverty is gonna come back here. And all that war that America has pushed in the earth, that war is gonna come back here. Okay, so America is getting ready to reap what is sown in the earth. Okay, let's go here. Let's get Jeremiah, and it speaks about Babylon. Okay, reaping what is sown. Let's get this in Jeremiah. Woo, it's heavy. Hey, Shalom, bro. Hey, how about Shem Al Shah? Hashem Kakatash Brakatah. All right, this is the book Ecclesiastes chapter 20. Ecclesiasticus chapter 20 and verse 10. This from the brother GMS Memphis and the Bach. Shalom, bro. It said, this is a gift that shall not profit. There's a gift that shall not profit thee, and there's a gift whose recompense is double, man. All right. And America's finna experience that double. Okay. All their wickedness that they sown, okay, in the world. All right. Even here in America, they finna reap that double. Okay. You see? So this is where we at. All right. All right. We got verse 9. Yep. It says, it's verse 9, 20, Ecclesiastes 29 said there's a sinner that have good success in evil things, and there's a gain that turn into loss, man. Okay, so America has enjoyed, the status, all right, of being a superpower. Okay. But now, all right, they're about to take this loss. You see, they've been able to prosper in their wickedness, but now they're finna take that loss. America has been able to become the strongest and the richest country in the world of wickedness, man, of pure wickedness, man, at home and abroad. Okay. And they've been able to prosper, but now their prosperity is going to turn to loss, man. And it's going to turn into double, man. Okay. Let's go here. This brother GMS, Sweet Cherries 144 said, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, okay, and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, those missiles, for strong is the Lord who judgeth her, man. And that's all the fire that America has sent out through his military. Okay, all that fire finna come back. You sown in missiles, you gonna reap in missiles, man. Okay, let's see. We look up some numbers, man. Let's see. Uh, let's see if we give us some other country. Let's see. Here. See, directly, because America is just a big, has been a big war machine for the elites, man. Okay, and you people have no idea, what America is getting ready to reap, for all these decades. Let's see if we give us some on the chat with some stats. Niggas, how you thinking? I'll come back to that. So let's get this here in Jeremiah 51. So you go here to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51. I start at 11. It says, make bright the arrows, all right, which are the nukes, gather the shields. The Lord have raised up a spirit of the kings of the Medes, which are the Russians, for his device against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai, the vengeance, okay, of his temple, all right, which is his people. Okay, all the wickedness done to the tribes. Esau got to pay. Esau has a lot to pay for, man. That's why the judgment is just going to be, overwhelming, because it's all going to hit in one day, man. Okay, it's just going to hit in one day. All right, and it says, let me go back here. And then Jeremiah 50. The Jeremiah 50 and 14. Yep, it says, put yourselves in array against Babylon, around about all ye that bend the bow, and this is what we're seeing, All these nations making these alliances, okay, to come against America, man. All these nuclear nations, from India to China to Russia to Iran to North Korea, Pakistan, all these nations, Turkey, okay. All these nations are coming to an agreement under the banner of Russia, okay, to attack America, man. Okay, and it says, shoot at her, spare no arrows. Yeah, so all the nukes that are created in the earth, okay, outside of America, guess what? They're coming to America, and that's going to be America reaping what it's sown. It said, for she have sinned against the Lord, shout against her round about. She have given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai. Take vengeance upon her, as she have done, do unto her. Okay? So as she have sown, all right, she's going to reap. Okay? So all these nations are getting ready to make America reap all the violence, okay, and war, all right, that is sown in the earth. Okay? And it's gonna be instantly. Now let's see. Let me see. Yeah, it didn't give us nothing, but it's cool. So I want to go to the next point, all right, of this what he said, dealing with America as well. So I'm gonna go back to the video, play a few more seconds of it, and then I want to segue to another video of Radazai, you know.
I think he's on a dangerous path. I think the world is increasingly sick of us. And that's how you get BRICS. That's how you get parallel financial institutions. That's why we're in a lot of trouble right now, because we are financially fragile and economically weak. And the world is beginning to figure it out. It's only a matter of time until this military hammer that he's talking about is exposed for what it is. It's an instrument, but it is by no means without countermeasures.
So he called the American military a hammer, and it's just going back to prophecy, man. So let's go back here. This is spirit. We already in Jeremiah 50. So all we gotta do is jump down a little bit. All right, and then we're gonna segue to another video, because this is, what's happening abroad. Okay, but then you got, because America is known for causing, okay, turmoil, in other countries, civil unrest in other countries. Well, that's going to come back too, So you American people don't understand. You're just reaping what your government, all right, and military has been doing for decades. Okay, so now you people are getting ready to reap that. Okay, so you go here to Jeremiah 50, and because he said American military is their hammer. Okay, this is Jeremiah, okay, 50 and 22 says, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction, and we see these reports, and we see, these moves being made for war. All right, we know it's a sound of battle in the land. It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Okay, and it's going to be through this war. All right, when America is going to be obliterated, and not only the landmass America, but the American troops abroad, they're going to get obliterated wherever they at, man. So this great hammer of the earth, this great fighting force, okay, is getting ready to be broken. All right, Babylon the Great and this mighty military might, okay, is mighty economy, all this finna be broken, man. Okay, it says, verse 4 says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, and because thou hast striven against the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay, so America has been, the epic center of rebellion against righteousness, against the Lord. Okay. And also what the chief place, of violence. All right. And the spread of violence throughout the world. Okay. So now America's finna reap that, man. Okay. They've sown rebellion against the Lord. And that's why Yahweh Shai and the chariots, all right, are coming to this place, man. So the nations, they're gonna get all right, they're gonna get off on America. Okay. And then Yahweh Shai himself and the chariots gonna get off on America, man. Okay. So America has a lot to pay for, man. Ain't no good news for America, man. All right. All right. The nigga woman losing his food stamps gonna be light work. Okay. Compared to what's coming, man. It's just a layup drill. Okay. Game ain't started yet. All right. So let's segue from there. Let's go to this video. So this guy here tells a story, and what we have to understand, the civil unrest, okay, that America has caused, all right, throughout the world. Well, that unrest is getting ready to come back here, okay, and it's gonna be magnified because guess what? America is the most armed, all right, has the most armed civilian population by far. Okay, so it's gonna get very bloody and grimy in America, man. When this civil unrest really hits, and we see that they're pushing for that. These devils are really pushing for that unrest, man. So let's let this play.
Hey folks, this is Mike Tango Whiskey coming at you with an unscheduled video. I had a very interesting conversation today with a woman in the sauna. There's a co-ed sauna at the gym that I go to, and I love the sauna. It's been a hot minute since I've been in one, and I almost passed out like I was dizzy. Every time I'm in there, I do my best to engage the people around me in conversation, and I engaged this woman. She's an older woman, Hispanic. She had an accent, I was talking to her about what she did. She worked at a hospital, and her name was Blanca. And eventually I got to it, and I said, hey, we talked about jobs and family and all this other stuff. I said, where are you from? And she said she's from Central America. I said, where? She said, El Salvador. And I go, how long have you been in the US? And she told me she's been here for like 20, 30 years or something, 25, 30 years. And I said, why did you leave? And she said it had gotten too violent. So I don't know a lot about El Salvador, but apparently like in the 70s, late 70s and 80s, there was basically a civil war going on. So she told me about guerrillas, that there was a group of guerrillas. And I was thinking the FARC, but the FARC were in Colombia. And then I was thinking, I'm just throwing wild. I'm like the Sandinistas. Like, I don't know my Central American history, And she said, no. And she told me the name. It was like the FLMA or something. They had an acronym. She told me about this guerrilla group and how they were fighting the government. And essentially, so this was the woman who had lived through civil war in her country. And the way she described it, there were basically three groups. There was the government, the guerrillas fighting against the government, and then everybody else who were just doing their best to live a normal life, go to school, go grocery shopping, just have a place to live, have a job. They just wanted a normal life. And it was becoming increasingly difficult. And she used to tell me that she worked in a factory 45 minutes outside of the main city where she lived. And on that drive every day, she would see bodies and they would see decapitated corpses. And there was this constant back and forth. It sounded a lot like what you might see like with the cartel wars down in Mexico. And she told me, and I said, well, what finally made you leave? And she goes, she went to university. She was old enough finally to go to university. And the classroom she was in was on the foremost edge of the campus. Like it was right near the entrance where you enter the campus. And one day she was in class with her classmates, and a group of soldiers came in and they shot everybody. They just began to shoot everybody. The person next to her, the man next to her, the boy next to her, young man, got shot, and he fell on top of her, and his blood had gotten all over her. So when the shooting stopped, she was so terrified she just laid there. She was covered in this guy's blood, and the soldiers began walking around kicking the bodies and flipping people over to make sure that they were dead. And the soldier kicked the guy next to her, the dead guy, and rolled him over to make sure. And she said she was holding her breath, and what felt like 5 minutes, she was holding her breath, playing dead, because she was also, she looked like she'd been shot. And the soldier stopped. She said she was praying and she was praying, holding her breath. And the soldier stopped, said something to the other soldiers. All right, that's good. Everybody's dead. And they left. Now, when she told me this story, at the end of this, I'm trying to do my best to listen intently, because she was getting emotional about this, obviously a super traumatic event. And at the end of it, she got quiet, and I said, why would the guerrillas come to a university and kill everybody? And she looks at me and she goes, it wasn't the guerrillas, it was the government. I almost pissed on myself. Like that was a twist that I didn't see happening. And I said, why even more? Like, I was, baffled at why the guerrillas would come and do this. I was even more baffled that the government would come and do this. And she said, well, at that point in the Civil War, the government was so paranoid about who was like collaborating with the guerrillas, and they were at the point where they just assumed anybody who was studying to be more and to know more and to do more was also part of that rebellion against the government. And that blew me away. We talk about Civil War and we talk about all the division in this country, and we think we see clearly on who is who, and who the good guys and who the bad guys, and who the enemy is and who the friends are. And it was a sobering moment for me thinking about that. And I wanted to ask her so many more questions, but she had already told her story, and it was pretty emotional for her, so I didn't want to.
Okay. So yeah, let's get this. So you see, cause when I listened to that story yesterday, and I was like, damn, because I didn't expect that twist at the end either. That the government came and just slaughtered civilians. The government became a death squad, and are not we seeing the government become aggressive today? It's not America. They're not Trump say that the enemy is within. So it's not the American government treating its citizens, all right, like the enemy within. Okay. So let's go here, man. Let's go here. Cause see, going back to reaping what you sown. Now, so when you go into the chat, so I asked, I said, did the American CIA, all right, have anything to do with the civil unrest, okay, in El Salvador? Okay. It says U.S. involvement. See, America has done this dozens and hundreds of times throughout the earth, called civil unrest. A lot of it we don't hear about. Okay. So I asked the chat, I said, it says support. All right. It says U.S. involvement in El Salvador. It says support for the Salvadorian, all right, military. It said the U.S., including CIA, provided training, intelligence, weapons, and funding to the Salvadorian armed forces and security agencies. Okay. Now, who did their slaughter of those children? Okay, on their college campus. Okay, it was the military. Who were they trained by? The CIA. Okay, who was they giving intelligence and weaponized and funded by? The CIA. It said these forces were widely, all right, accused of death squad activities, torture, extrajudicial killings, which means that you getting judged on the spot. Okay, well, nigga, we charge you with, okay, being this nigga death. You get judged on the spot, like that movie Dread. You know, I had watched that movie Dread. I think the newer one. You know, Judge Dredd. Well, you know, those officers have, you know, the ability to judge on the spot. Okay, it says in targeting civilians, priests, labor organizer, and suspected leftists. Wait a minute. So this script don't sound familiar? Okay, these forces was widely accused of death squad activities, torture, extrajudicial killings, and targeting civilians, priests, labor organizers, and suspected leftists, man. Okay, America is getting ready to reap everything it sowed, man. This is the same script. Okay, what's the threat? What's the enemy within America? The leftists. Okay, then you best believe that there's a lot of death squads, all right, that are not on the books, that are funded, okay, and supplied and trained by the CIA that's in America and on standby, man. Okay, it says infamous example, the 1980 assassination of Archbishop Oscar Romero, a prominent critic of the regime, and the El Mazati massacre, where over 800 civilians were killed by U.S. trained troops, okay, in Atacala battalion, you know. You see, this is what America's been doing abroad. So now it's getting ready to come back home. And see, see, Esau has mastered this, man. And he's bringing these same techniques back home. Okay. CIA ties to death squads. Okay. You know, you can look in more into it. Propaganda, psychological violence. Okay. Goddamn devil, man. You know, but hey, the chickens is coming home to roost, man. Okay, so let's go here. A couple more precepts. Everybody finna get judged according to their works, man. You know, matter of fact, I think that's in it's a rock. Matter of fact, I just get this. This is Revelation 11 and 18. Okay. This is Revelation 11 and 18. And it says, and the nations were angry, all right, and thy wrath is come. Okay. For the wrath of the Lord is on this place, man. You see, judgment finna walk this place down. It says, and thy wrath is come in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, these nations, man, and that thou shouldst give a reward unto thy servants, the prophets. All right. So, Lord willing, we're sowing in righteousness and we're getting ready to get a reward. Okay, and to the saints and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and should it destroy them which destroy the earth. Okay, and shall destroy them which destroy the earth. Okay, and that's Esau, man. He's at the forefront, okay, of the destruction, the war, the civil unrest, okay, the destruction of the ecosystem. He's at the forefront of that, man. So the Lord is getting ready to destroy him that destroy the earth, man. You know, because the devil finna reap everything that he's sown. You know, and there's been nothing but violence and wickedness, unrest, okay, captivity. Okay, he's finna reap all that, man. All right, so that's the point. You know, Lord will. All right, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutation to a hopeful like Shalom.